Hey, hello. Seems like we have started great. Okay, so in today's session, we will continue with a great practice because it's based on recording our own memories and trying to have them inside our little memory bank. And for this, I have my sketchbook ready, and I like to continue with a really special place, which is Venice. I'm choosing a new page and quickly starting the sketch. Okay, so let's start with the base composition. I have the image on screen, and also I have it in a larger scale. Great. Maybe the first part could be to look at the composition and decide what we like to include and what could be left empty. I would like to invite you to follow along or maybe work on your artwork in the meantime, because I feel that we have this tendency to spend more time just watching and less time with actually creating. And I like the analogy for the cooking show, like if it's not enough to watch the cooking show, you will not be a better chef by just watching. You need to start doing also. I really like painting and capturing the water because that's a really special subject for me. I have a feeling that maybe we could find deeper meaning in the water subject, but I just really enjoy. As you can see, I'm trying to squint my eyes, and that's the main tool I am using. At this point, I just freehand sketch this composition, and I'm trying to compare the reference photo as close as possible. But in reality, it's not about, it's not about the perfectionism. We just need to play and get the ideas down on paper. Maybe I can give you some hints about why I chose this particular reference image. One of the main reasons is the really clear geometric shapes. That's for sure a strong point. And also the the light and dark patterns, because I can imagine in my head how I would portray these. Try to think about the big shapes and how these value groups could be applied to this image, because it's really interesting how in the photograph it's a bit overexposed, but usually the sky is the brightest color in the composition. Let me just grab my paints quickly. So one thing I like to make sure that I'm no, just a sec. I like to take photos about the progress, not just because of the stream, but you know, looking back at how you create an image helps you understand the process more. Okay, definitely for the first wash, I'm gonna use more water. Yeah, this way it's maybe better to see. So just for the sake of clarity, I like to use masking tape, so the edges will be much cleaner. And since we are working in the sketchbook, don't be too attached to the to your result. It's just play. That's the pure excitement and the pure joy of creating. That's what I like to encourage you to just try. There's no pressure. You will not oh, maybe my acrylics got dry, but even with that I can lay down some first washes. And what is fascinating that in the shadow area we have this really rich saturated colors. Maybe I need more colors. So I will use definitely a lighter blue tone. I'm really interested in mainly the portraying the shadow and light. That's my main goal. If I can create that, that's already a win for me. And at this point, I'm just laying down the first strokes of paint. Remember, you can change at any time. This is the beauty of acrylics, that you can fine-tune these details, and nothing is final. Mm-hmm. And I think I will need some of these lighter blues. We can play a lot with the colors and how the whole image comes together, because that's one thing how it looks in the photo, but we are working on an artwork, and this is our own version of it, so there's no right or wrong way to portray this. And yeah, one of my teachers said that nobody will see the reference photo, especially this close, and this side-by-side comparison is only possible when we are working on the image, and later we will have a lot of freedom, so no pressure. Lately I was working a lot with oils, and a lot of my acrylics got dry or just hard to open, but it's okay. Trying to find a good brush which will work. And for the, oh yeah, this sky color is really juicy. What I'm noticing on the reference image is how the water is just, yeah, maybe it's a touch too light, but this is the fun part of it. We can play. So it's always a good idea. It's always better to keep the sky lighter than it appears. This helps to achieve this airy, airy feeling. You can capture that really well. Also, in general, I like to use limited palette, but if you have a tricky color or something where what you use regularly, it could be fine to use pre-mixed colors. In my classes, I like to focus on learning the color mixing and how we can create any color from a limited palette, because sometimes I feel that these pre-mixed colors are working against us and not really helping. So one trick is around the closer to the horizon, usually because of the atmosphere, the colors are more faded and you can achieve a great effect with making the horizon lighter. Also, one of my favorite tricks is to use these gradients. Those are really helpful to guide the eyes. So it's like a photographic term where the edges are darker. I believe it's a optical effect caused by the lens, and I need more lighter tone. I'm trying to use the leftover paint from the last week's session because that should be enough. So I like to keep these training sessions shorter. Oh yeah, this is a great color. And now it's time to decide where to put the shadow. I'm not sure if I like to include this this open section here, but yeah, maybe just put it down. Yes, that's why it could be helpful to use some different brushes and a variety of brushes, because if you are using just one, that could be harder to switch. I think I will need a bit more. Let me see. Maybe a bit of red. Slight, yeah, a fresher red. And maybe a little green. Just to tone it back. Also, the shadow color is more around the greener tone. Okay, a bit of water. So first, I like to include that background building, which I feel it's a little bit purplish. And this is the point where you can decide how you like to push and pull the forms, because definitely it should be here. Goes down. Maybe. Yes, and chimneys. And I'm trying to decide what is the color for the roof. I feel that was like a greenish color. Yeah, maybe I will. Oh yeah, we can spend a lot of time with these details. The frames around the windows. And generally these are like a gray color. If you just start to mix basically all of your colors, you will achieve this gray tone. And with every sketch, we should decide what areas we like to focus on and what can be left. My focus is the light and shadow, so I don't really care about the every section. Also, if you are using multiple brushes, it's always a good idea to put the ones you are not really actively using, put them in water, because the paint will dry really quickly, especially acrylics. So try to not ruin your brushes. A little bit of highlight here and there. Yes, maybe I can move to the bridge. Yeah, generally these reflected colors are really tricky because we have a local color, and because the light is reflecting back from the right building, the top parts are lighter, and we have this gradient, which is yeah, we can play with that, maybe darkening the lower side, or yeah, in this case I feel that in generally in this value range I need to make decisions about, okay, what I like to push more into shadow and what can be the light side. I feel that the bridge itself is pretty dark, so I will push that into the, yeah, maybe I will need a little bit more yellow. Yes, I feel that I need a little bit more vibrance. I'm really curious how you are progressing, because the seems like we should end soon, but I like to move forward with this, because at this stage it's in the ugly middle, what we like to avoid, but this is part of the process. Oh yeah, some of these tube clean pigments or mixes are really harsh, so I like to always dial it back a bit. What is the shape for the with these roofs, or any kind of organic shape? If you can have one part straight, you can achieve the illusion of the precision. Here I'm looking at the image where I can use the same green, because once we have a mix what we are happy with, it's always a good idea to put it down or use in more places, so it's not yeah, we can create harmony within our image if we can find similar colors in the composition. So the water is really tricky. I think I will start to fill it just to have something there and maybe refine it further. I love painting water. The movement and the effect is great. Okay, and now it's time to add some colors for the background buildings. Okay, maybe just the water jar. And what should be the color for that background building? Because it's really brick building, but because of the reflected color of the sky dome, it appears more like a lighter purple color for me. And to achieve this atmospheric effect, we should take into consideration to not paint what we think the color is, but what we really see. And that's why if we can practice outdoor painting, that could help a lot in developing this skill. So I like to make sure that I'm covering the whole area, and yeah, just to make sure that that's really interesting. I'm trying to figure out the exact shape. Some of these accent colors are really helpful to help with the edges. Yes, maybe I can include a little bit with this building. I need to decide where should be the breaking line. Maybe go with the more warmer color. In any time when we like to dial back the saturation, we can use the opposite color from the color wheel. So this red was too red, and I've added a little bit green. Just like to make sure that it's not too dark. And I feel that the bottom part should be there also. Let me step back just for a sec so I can clearly see and yes, I need some shadow colors on the right. And fill that up. Yes, maybe add the boats back. Of course, it's always a good idea to clean the brushes from time to time, so we can come back to the clean colors. Yes. Okay, let me see. I think I will start to introduce the shadow color. Basically, it's coming down to this point, and we have a little transition. Yes. Okay, I like to make sure that the colors are cohesive. And maybe you can extend, yes, the bottom part. And I just like to make sure that the edges are clear. And this reflected color is really interesting because it's usually reflecting back the colors around. And as you can see, yeah, it's interesting. Also for the boats, I feel that I will just roughly indicate them. And what I like to use is the for the boats, we can apply the same logic as before, that generally we don't see the every little detail, and if we can capture that essence, that big shape, that's amazing. And don't forget that everything what is in the shadow area should be darker than what is in the light, what is in the sky or in the direct sunlight. This area can't be as light as that part, so we need to make sure that these are darker. Here we can play with some of the highlight colors and the oh yeah, I see another little funny gem, and that's the light next to the building here. Oh yeah. So it comes down, and maybe we have some flowers around it, around the edge. And also we can start to indicate some of the windows. I think that was the missing piece. Just slightly. The goal is to keep the geometric shape and remember that the audience will not compare it to the reference photo, and that's not the goal, to create an exact replica. But in this area I will have an artistic license because I don't really like that orange chimney, so I will have 2 windows instead. Yes. And also I will leave the pipe and okay, I think that I will just change a little bit on the maybe the perspective is a bit off. Yeah, I feel that with this camera angle it's really hard to judge the exact perspective, but what I like to create is just remove a bit from that. We can think about it like a negative painting, like we put down a stroke and we decide to make changes, and it's okay. It's better to make changes, even if it changes the image, and maybe we make not the best decision, but if we never make these decisions, we will never move forward. So it's definitely really important to be brave and just try out. If you have any idea, just try out, because you know it's your painting, and if you are afraid about the changes and maybe possibly ruining that image, you will never move forward. So we need to make changes. And with acrylic we can paint over anytime, so it's okay. Some of the effects what we paint in the beginning might not come back as clearly, but I believe that if we can make progress and get better with every painting, it's already a win. You can take into consideration the how dark it will dry. So every stroke should be placed with that in mind, that it will dry darker. Okay, this is definitely too vibrant. It's interesting, Blue is almost gone from the mix. Oh yeah, it's definitely much closer to the blue, and oh yeah. It's also fine to just blend these. So whenever you put down a stroke, just think about the option that you can blend it. Definitely we need the little entrance. So why some of these pre-mixed colors are great, because you can control the lightness. Oh yes. It's funny how with every step these details are coming together, and I think that, yeah, they are really helping the final effect, especially this shadow color. And this is the point where I can clearly see that we will have one window and another. We have the continuation, maybe a bit more water, and maybe we can have a lighter tone. Just keep in mind the control. Okay. If something is too much, we can bring it back. What is that color? Also, one additional tip that usually we can't really decide these colors. If you can have more variation in your painting, usually the realistic representation is, like if we have like a clear 100% realism, that's the photo, or that's reality. And what if we play a little bit with color? What if I'm using this teal color here and I feel that it's okay, it's totally like not jumping too much. So I now see that maybe the perspective should be corrected, but yeah, maybe we'll keep it as is. Also, it might help to make piles of paint premix, but I feel that at one point we need to mix these colors anyway. So oh, and now I see that this is the chimney. Okay, how to okay. And maybe it's time to add some of the windows on the other side too. And make sure to count with the perspective. Yes. Also, I like to make sure that I'm giving some form to these boats. And the shadow around. Also the shadow. Yeah, maybe there could be a little separation. And if you have the color still, you can emphasize the side or these frames around. Also, maybe I can give a little form. No. Okay, I'm really happy that I kept the sky color brush because it's now really easy to just fix that color. How to include the yes. I'm trying to decide where I need more details, but yeah, maybe some of the purple colors could be interesting to add under the okay, let me yeah, these colors are very fascinating because the real color, what we call it, the local color of the object is white, marble maybe, but in the shadow, because they are in the shadow, they look like yeah, the blue. So it's really important to keep the perspective in some of these. Yeah, maybe I need to add the maybe yeah, I think that I need to add the let me just quickly fix the bottom part. I need to add back a little bit from, you know, if this is continuing there. Yeah, some of these light colors could be definitely used from more ready pigments, especially the earth colors are great, ochre. And what I found is helping is to think in different layers. So now I place the first layer, it's not fully covering the sketch, and I will come back to that in a second and add another covering layer. Yeah, sometimes it really great to paint these geometric shapes because it can help. You know, some of these are really straightforward, how you need the perspective, for example, continuation on that. We can bring a bit more saturation to these windows also. And yeah, maybe we create something. I would say that during the process we discover a lot of nuances about the scene, and that's super helpful and inspiring for me, that I'm not only painting a random scene, but build a connection with this. And this is really important when you have an inspiring scene, to spend enough time with that. Yeah, maybe it would be great to somehow create a transition. I'm trying to spice that area up a little bit. Also, one thing I'm really eager to add is the reflected light. Maybe it's more steep. And here, when we see the frame in the sunlight, direct sunlight, this is where it's really pure white. This is the brightest bright, because the local color is bright, and it's in the full sunlight. Yes. I love it. These are the juicy parts which will help to sell the idea. Yeah, I think that we went a bit over the planned schedule, but anyway, it was fun. Here we can fine tune this forever. Maybe at the yes. Okay, and finally the boats. We can also create a great contrast with putting the complementary color next to the other. So if the water is green or blue, we can spice it up if we place or create the boats red or warmer. So I think I'd like to light up a little bit the reflection. That could help also to sell the idea. Of them reflecting the also what could help is to use the contact shadow. I see that in many images, that especially with my students' work, that they forget to add these little contact shadows, and that helps a lot with selling the idea that something is touching the other. Yeah, and don't forget it. We can add the gradients again. Okay, yeah, I feel that the boats would need some love again, but I will wait a bit before yeah, maybe I can give you another little tip that for these super tiny details like under the roof, you might want to sharpen your brush, because those are really hard to paint with regular brushes, and I like to create my own little brush by shaving the tip of the brush, and that creates a really great fine point. So I like to create the second window because that could help to sell the idea that this is opening up. Yes. In any place where you can create overlaps between the forms, that could help to sell the idea that something is in front of the other. Also maybe some plants here. And as a final step, it would be great to add the, where is my little knife? But I'm not sure if I can find it now. Okay, it's okay. Maybe with the tiny brush we can create that. As you can see, I like to use water more as much as possible, because that helps a lot to keep it workable. I like to include that highlight for these tiny lines. It's okay to hold your breath. Okay, I think I'm done with this one. Definitely the time is over. Maybe the little blends. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and if you progress with your own painting, I would love to see that. So feel free to tag me, and maybe yes. And if you are interested in learning more about the process, I would love to invite you to the Modern Artist Club. Just visit modernartistclub.com and you will find all the information. We have a free trial, 7-day free trial option right now, so you can start learning risk-free. But I hope that from the beginner-friendly tutorials you will learn a lot, and you can create your own great artworks too. So yeah. Okay, let's call it done. And maybe it's time for the reveal. Just voila. Thank you again, and yeah, see you next time. Ciao.